in the room, special edition. We are live. The Cream City crossover. The Guru Turk Osby III.
Chris King.
Justin.
Yeah. In the building, in the flesh. We were going to do a video, but we were like, hey, Gary Trent, breaking news. Gary Trent agrees to a 2-year, $7.5 million deal to return to the Milwaukee Bucks, plus a player option. That is insane to me. Big time job from John Horst and the front office, the entire Milwaukee Bucks organization negotiating that deal with Clutch Sports CEO Rich Paul. That's by Shams, who breaks the news for us. That is the breaking news. Lot to get to today for the Milwaukee Bucks. A lot of run it back energy for the Milwaukee Bucks, but you got to be excited about this one. If you're joining us on the Twitter, if you're joining us on the YouTube, again, impromptu live show from the Cream City crossover with the breaking news, Gary Trent Jr., 2 years, $7.5 million. That's insane value. And I'll tell you this, I was getting a little upset. We'll talk about it in a second, but I was getting a little upset that the Bucks had re-signed Taurean Prince to a 2-year, $7.1 million deal. But Clutch Sports. Sometimes you gotta do a little niceties in one area to get what you want to get on the other. And what my grandma say, that you get more sugar with honey. What is it? You get more honey with sugar? What is it?
You get more flies with honey.
Oh, that's what. Yeah, there you go. You get more flies with honey than you do with what? It's something. I don't even know the damn saying. Point is, you got to do some work with Rich Paul. You got to get him straight. You got to say, hey, Rich, we'll take Taurean Prince, old sorry ass, can't play in the playoffs, was a trash, and ain't got no damn reason to be back. But we'll do that as long as you make sure Gary Trent comes back. We'll do that. We'll wash our hands of it. But Gary Trent back, 2 years, $7.5 million. We're going to talk about all the Bucks signings since we're here. Why not? We're going to talk about it. Of course, Gary Trent Jr., of course, Taurean Prince, of course, Kevin Porter Jr., no Brook Lopez, of course, Bobby Portis Jr., all the juniors coming back. We're waiting on that Derek Bird extension. All of the good things that have happened with the Milwaukee Bucks. Listen, so far, I'll take it. I know Atlanta's doing some things. I know Denver's doing some things. I know some things are in motion with some other basketball teams. But this right here, so far, we are, free agency started at 6 o'clock Eastern time. It's just under 11 p.m. Eastern time on the East Coast. First 5 hours of free agency for the Milwaukee Bucks. I'll take it. Still some work to do for John Horst, but I'll take it. What are you thinking right now? Gary Trent Jr. back 2 years, $7.5 million.
Well, I'm more impressed with the number that's being thrown out there, right? Like being able to maintain a lot more money to maybe throw out another guy that can impact this squad. Like we hear all the DeAndre Ayton stuff that's going around there, and especially you lose Brook. Like that's going to be more what I'm looking at with this. Like it's not only that we get to retain the juniors in not having Dame for an extended period of time. It's not just that we have some stability at point guard and at shooting guard. It's also that they have more work to be done. And that's just a credit to John Horst again. I think, it's easy to overreact when you see Taurean Prince get signed right back after essentially being, played out of the playoffs with the Milwaukee Bucks. But then he goes and pulls something like this. There is always a plan up John Horst's sleeve. And it seems like he ends up executing a lot on those plans. And I think there's more to come here. So, yeah, I mean, I'm ecstatic. And then, it seems like that maybe resentment you had, Trey, after Gary Trent Jr. loses the ball through his legs in Game 5 of the Pacers series. That's kind of, going out the window, and we realize, hey, we might need a guy that can, play as well as he did and be reliable in the playoffs. So I think this is huge news, obviously, for the Bucks, and this is kind of exactly how I wanted at least day one to go in getting some of these guys back that showed that not only they can play at a high level and be reliable, but they also have good chemistry with Giannis, and we know it's going to be Giannis's team next year. I mean, it's always his team, but especially without Dame.
So I'm just looking for these young guys to go ahead on. Gary Trent Jr., Bobby Portis Jr., Taurean Prince. All you guys get on that flight to Greece and let's start working. I think this is where John Horst earns his paycheck in this offseason. Last year, he did a phenomenal job with nothing to work with and brought in a Taurean Prince, a Gary Trent Jr. At the time when he brought in DeLon Wright, we thought it was a good signing. The season proved otherwise, and that's okay. But we're doing the good things right now. So now I need to get Jericho Sims locked up. I need another big to come in here, and we're going to be good. But Atlanta's done a lot of stuff, but I still think as long as you got 34 on this roster with a bunch of guys, because you used to hear this a lot with a dude that played quarterback a few hours up north. Does he trust the guys that he's playing with? I think what this is showing you is Giannis trusts these guys. Bringing it back is going to bring some cohesion. And kind of like what Chris alluded to, man, this offseason is nowhere near done. This is just the prelude. Horse has a lot more stuff to go. I'll be interested to see if there's a sign and trade with Pat Connaughton. Not sign and trade, but a trade with Pat Connaughton, a trade somewhere else, a trade here. I mean, can we bring a Wiggins? Can we bring that other boy from Miami? Can we bring somebody else? I don't know, but I'm excited. Great day to be a Bucks fan. Let's go.
Absolutely. It's a great day to be a Milwaukee Bucks fan. ND says there's no chance Shams got that number right. It's got to be 7.5 per year. It doesn't sound like it. That sounds like 7.5 over 2 years with the player option, which gives the Milwaukee Bucks bird rights, I believe, to Gary Trent Jr. if there's an extension after this. So this is big for Gary Trent Jr. to enhance his value as this thing moves on. Noah's Cap says it's real. Mark D. Carter. Is that Mark Carter? Is that brother Carter from Central Church of Christ? Let me know if that's you, Mark. I don't know. And Mark Carter sound familiar. Let me know if it's another Mark Carter. I don't know. But appreciate you if you're here watching. No hate, only facts, says Trey, Chris, Justin. Proud of y'all. Doing a great job. Get Dame off the team. Why we gotta talk about Dame? Listen. I'm not going to do the negativity tonight saying anything about Damian Lillard. Mickey says, I swear you wanted GTJ gone after game 5. Hey, it's been a long time since game 5. So I'm, listen, you know what? Gary Trent, that's why he's coming back at 7.5. He owed us that. You owed us that. So I'll take it. Dakota Blue says, great work by Horse. MacMine says, who's playing center? We're going to get to what's happening with at the center position. But I believe, if they got Gary Trent Jr. for this number, I believe that means that the entire mid-level exception is open to the Milwaukee Bucks, which, since you're talking, that does open up the potential for a DeAndre Ayton or maybe a Quentin Grimes or maybe somebody like that. We will see, but the work is not done for John Horst. Again, Gary Trent Jr., you talk about a player who, he was good because he had done it to the Bucks. He was a Bucks killer in Toronto, has played very well this season on a minimum. I think he slides himself right back into that starting rotation this season, and you continue to build off of it. And the other thing that he showed me, which is why I'm so glad that he's back, is that he was a playoff riser. And how many times have we seen guys in Milwaukee that drop in the playoffs like a Taurean Prince?
Gambling man Beasley.
Hey, yes, sir, Mr. Yes, exactly. Those type of players who have done those things for the Milwaukee Bucks. You get a guy who, of course, you know what Giannis is going to do in the playoffs. Gary Trent Jr. was a riser, just hit shot after shot. Almost close to being, really a three-level kind of scorer as the season progressed. And, remember, he started off kind of bad. He had a bad back to start the season and lost some time from Doc Rivers. Basically, once he came back from that, he was really good. And, again, he averaged 11 points a night, 41% from three. And again, this will allow him to re-enter free agency market next summer if he wants to as well. And maybe he'll get an even bigger bag. But again, really good news for the Bucks. It's a really good deal for Milwaukee. Really good deal for Gary Trent Jr. Give himself some flexibility to get into the market next year if he has a really big year. And if you're the Bucks, you should be 100% excited. I know some of these other ones we're going to talk about when you talk about running the team back. Don't have any real free agents coming in that have made any noise for the Bucks as far as newcomers. But priority one, I believe, this summer, this offseason, was re-signing Gary Trent Jr. John Horst and Milwaukee Bucks do that.
Yeah. I think he made that very clear too, that he should have been a priority. I thought that some of the initial reactions that maybe we wouldn't have enough money to keep him and stuff like that, like that was just unnecessary panic from Bucks fans, because I think the basketball team, I think the Bucks and Giannis and the front office, I think they know what we see when it jumps off the page at you, jumps off the TV at you, like what Gary Trent Jr. did for a couple of those games. Really what felt like most of the series against the Pacers. So I think they knew just as much as we did that he should have been a priority. And then also, I mean, right away you see our first deal after free agency starts, KPJ's back as well. So I think they had their priorities straight, and then for them to also be able to free up some money to go, like I see in the comments, oh, they haven't improved yet. Well, they're going to have some flexibility to try to at least accomplish that.
I think if you lost all of those guys, though, we wouldn't have improved either. We would have gotten worse. So I think the main thing is stabilizing the ship. And I think what we saw in Game 5 of the Bucks Pacers playoff series is these guys can hoop together as a team, provided Doc pushes the right buttons to put the right guys into the game. Excuse me. Talk about Taurean Prince for a second, though. See a lot of angst on him and stuff like that. I equivalent this to This is the equivalent of a Robin Lopez deal to me. I'm okay with it. At the bare minimum, you're going to fill out the end of the bench. We know that he can play during the regular season at times. We know he has, like Trey said, played himself off the court at times too. But now you have that flexibility. Someone gets hurt during the regular season and stuff like that. You have a trusted guy who is 31, 32.
Yeah, Taurean Prince I believe he'll be 32 or 33 this season.
And one thing that we never see as fans is we never see what his impact truly is in the locker room. So he may have got benched and he may have relegated a lot of positive stuff and energy to that Milwaukee Bucks team during the playoff push during the end of the year. So I'm excited about this season. I think what we've seen that the Bucks have gotten better, in my opinion, by not losing guys. And now it's on Doc and the coaching staff to get better and make sure we push these right buttons during the season.
You mentioned Taurean Prince. Bucks did agree with the forward Taurean Prince on a 2-year, $7.1 million deal. First year being a veteran minimum, second year being a player option. Right, he's 31 currently, signs a 1-year deal with the Bucks last season, turning one of the best three-point shooting seasons in the NBA, making 44% of his threes last year. Excuse me.
Bush. Yeah, there you go.
Sorry about that. Going to be a 10th season in the league. Originally 12th pick, 2016 draft by Utah. Averaged 8 points and 4 boards a game for the Bucks. Appeared in 80 games in the playoffs. He averaged just 12 minutes per game and shot 20% over 5 games in the playoffs, just 2 starts. Taurean Prince, let's talk about it. Again, for what it's worth, it's essentially a minimum deal. And listen, before I heard the Gary Trent Jr. news, I was getting a little anxious. And so somebody who said it here, MacMan says, I don't know, I'm just going to put a Jamaican accent. MacMan says, he says, unfortunately, the Bucks are the same / worse. Who did they add to improve the team? And to that, I say, it's a good thing free agency is longer than 5 hours, right? Like I get where you're going, but let's listen. I believe John Horst should be offered some grace with some of the things that he's done. I mean, this is a team that is still paying on who's still not fully paid off the Drew Holiday trade. This is a team that is still paying off the trade for Damian Lillard. So again, this team has been hampered. This front office has been hampered by some of the moves they made to get better, to improve the team. So I guess I do stop and say we can talk about John Horst drafting all we want to, but I think he does a really good job in the free agent space and the trade space, trying to get. And again, listen to this too. I know everybody wants to hate on Kuzma. The reason the Milwaukee Bucks have that full mid-level exception open to him, and some of these moves that are open to him, is because they traded Chris Middleton. Don't forget that either. Like, this is the reason that all this is open to the Milwaukee Bucks. And they have $14 million, I believe. Somebody get me right if I'm wrong, that they're still going to be able to play with because they have that mid-level exception open. So I'll say this about Taurean Prince. Was not a playoff riser. As people have noted on social media, he was playing the 2. He was out of position. So some of this is going to be on Doc Rivers to get this right. Because Taurean Prince, again, he did shoot 44% from 3. He didn't shoot well in the playoffs. He had a hard time defending in the playoffs, but he was defending and playing out of position. So yes, if you have him playing the 2, that's not his natural role. He's not going to be a good, one of those wings. He's got to be a big wing that is playing a small forward kind of position. Your 3, your small man 4, versus a two guard running DHOs all day with Damian Lillard, and in this sense, it's going to be Kevin Porter Jr., whatever it is. So again, if you can just get him to that point where he's defending his position and just shooting threes, I think even for a minimum in the regular season, and if you have to ratchet him down a little bit in the playoffs, that's fine. But that's going to be more on Doc Rivers to understand his limitations, to understand what he is as a player, and to execute on that as a coaching staff and play to his strengths. I've kind of say stuff about Kuzma. You got to play to his strength. You have to know a player's limitations and not put them in a position where they cannot do some of the things that you're asking them to do. That's what I think about Taurean Prince. And hopefully Doc has seen enough. Again, I don't know. You know how I feel about Doc, but hopefully he has seen enough to where this season you go in with a different game plan and you just play to his strengths. And I believe his strengths are shooting the three ball and kind of getting out of the way. You try to have him handle the ball, he's getting out of his comfort zone. Have him do what he does. He does do one thing very well. He hits the three-point shot very well. Stand still three. Let him do that. Let him play some minutes here and there. He shouldn't be starting at the two. And let's keep rolling with that as a minimum deal. I could be okay with it if he shoots over 40% again.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think, immediately what you're talking about, Trey, is just he's an 82-game player. And that's going to carry some value when the East is wide open, even still after, Dame going down and not being available for next year, most of next year, whatever it will be. I think there is some value in having a guy who can come out there and just make threes, pose different matchups for teams throughout, different times. There's going to be times where Gary Trent might not be shooting the ball well. AJ Green might not be shooting the ball well. And then it's a little bit of a luxury to have a guy like Taurean Prince who can, sometimes knock down 40% of his threes during a regular season at least. I think my initial reaction is like, damn, all the stuff that Lakers fans were saying about Darvin Ham and Taurean Prince having this great relationship, I mean, that must be true. But then, you start to hear the rumblings of whether it's Rich Paul being the agent of Gary Trent Jr. as well and maintaining that relationship. And I also don't necessarily think it's a detrimental move to bring him back. So I think I can talk myself into being okay with it, especially when you think about just how you're going to need consistent options throughout a regular season without Dame and a team led by, Giannis at the forefront.
Chris King, you like them young folks. You shop at PacSun?
Oh, no. Maybe middle school.
Right. So my daughter, my youngest daughter, she goes to PacSun a lot, right? We go in this store, and the clearance section is always buy one, get three free. That's exactly what John Horst just did with the free agent signings he's made so far. Keeping that entire MLE exception in play is going to be huge for us. See a lot of stuff, man. Like you said earlier, Trey, we are not even a full 24 hours in the free agency. Let's not judge it all off of these first initial signings. Right now, what you see him doing is stabilizing his ship, and I think we're getting ready to put that big motor on the back, and we really about to kick this up a whole nother gear. But we got to be patient with it. One quick thing on Gary Trent Jr. and Taurean Prince, I think both of them did a smart thing by signing the contracts that they signed. And you're going to look at those numbers, and you're going to say, oh, man, they signed for low and all that. Yeah, they did. There's not a lot of teams that could use their services that have cap space this offseason. Next year, it opens up for them. So 1 year, prove it. If Gary Trent Jr. comes out and plays better than he did last year, we're going to have to pay him. And it's a great thing for us as Bucks fans, though. So don't want to miss that point. And I'm just so excited, man. And if you're not excited, I don't know what to tell you. I know there's other allegedly athletic wings, 3-and-D big guys we missed and stuff like that. But who are these guys? Where are they? Because we weren't going to sign Jaren Jackson Jr. And, I mean, did you want Clint Capella? Like, I don't know what they're talking about we missed.
Yeah, as they say, if you don't like that, you don't like Bucks basketball. NYC Demon with the super chat. As always, man, appreciate NYC Demon. One of the best guys on here, one of the best followers on Twitter as well. Says, unlike Bucks Twitter, I admit when I'm wrong. Didn't see Trent for that low. What a deal for us. We have a chance to get right up there with the best teams in the East. If Doc runs DHO with Prince and Giannis, I'm breaking my TV. I get you there. That's a different discussion, NYC. when you talk about how good are the Bucks going to be, we'll need to see what the totality of the roster looks like and how healthy they can stay. But as Chris said, it is wide open. There's no Halliburton. There's no Tatum for the majority of the season. There's no Damian Lillard too. But you look at it and you see Knicks. You see what Orlando's done. You see what Atlanta has done to position themselves. I think the Bucks are, after you get through those teams, am I missing somebody? In that Detroit, once you get through, I think 3-4. The Bucks to me are right there. And again, that doesn't you get to the playoffs, and I'm taking Giannis against anybody. I don't care, especially if Damian Lillard's back. So we'll see how that goes. Let's keep moving here.
Wait, remember the Knicks don't even have a coach right now.
That's true.
So we don't even know what their philosophy, what everything's going to be. Sorry, I mean to cut you off.
I don't know. You got to look at what's going on in South Carolina. See what Dawn Staley is doing. She's interviewing for the role.
Hey, no, I love it. That'd be great.
Me too.
Might be better.
Yeah, right.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, actually,
remember Chris Paul was talking to the referee was like, ain't no, remember when? I ain't going. I'm gonna stop.
Well, one last thing on TP though. Like, I think it is gonna be. So you get another season of TP, right? We saw how long did it take Doc to make that adjustment to moving him to the bench in the playoffs? There should be no excuse as to why maybe. Honestly, he shouldn't even really be starting in the starting five next year.
Nope.
Depending on whatever move, if you stand pat, if this is it, or if you go out and get another big or whatever, he shouldn't be starting, because then you don't give him the leverage to have in the playoffs to feel like you need to go with him as a reliable starter in the NBA playoffs after what took place last year. Really could have been a fatal flaw because we didn't want to make that move, and I think he should be delegated or regulated back to that bench role.
Night one of free agency is upon us. You're locked in with the Cream City crossover. D-Ron says Horse has never just stood by and done nothing. People hate him, but he's always willing to take crazy swings. That is correct. And he is always working. Say whatever you want about John Horse. He's always working. Macmon says Yabusli, that's the French guy, right? Probably butchering his name. And Ben Simmons, gross, I know, but those are guys Bucks should be pursuing to come off the bench or play small by five. John Hassel, you took the words out of my mouth. I ain't listening to Ben. I don't care. No. I don't care what. Ben Simmons is that guy that, in the park, in the playground, it's like, man, I would pick him first for my team if you didn't know who he was. He looks the part, 6'10", bralette. If you see him in a open gym, he knocking down threes. You get him on that court and bright lights. And then there's the other thing. My biggest issue with Ben Simmons is mental. When I think you have lost it mentally and you don't want to play games and you got phantom injuries and all this kind of stuff, again, didn't we just see? And again, I'm gonna give somebody who I want to give credit to, Tyrese Halliburton, who knew he had a bad calf, went out there and played and tore his Achilles out there, but he was playing. Damian Lillard, coming off a blood clot, knew he had a bad calf, tore his Achilles, went out there and played. And then, and those are the bad stories. But you go to a guy like Jalen Williams, who we just heard had surgery because he tore a ligament in his wrist out there for OKC. You never heard him complain. Nobody knew. And I think he kind of felt like he had some type of injury by the way he was playing, but never made note of it, never talked about it, never let you know that he was hurt. And just goes up there and wins the championship, puts up 40 in the finals with a bum wrist, and go get surgery this offseason. So my point there is I want guys that through injuries are willing to play and are willing to put it all on the line and are willing to go out there and play and be tough. And I do, and so again, as much as I don't like Tyrese Halliburton, I respect athletes that go out there and play through injuries and play through adversity and play through things that are ailing them and hurting them. And when I have a guy like Ben Simmons around, I don't think he respects the game. I really don't. I don't think he respects the game. I think it's all about money. I think he is there are some guys out there who are just tall, strong, and they just so happen to play basketball. And that's been said. And there are some guys who love the game and just so happen to be 6'10", 6'8", 6'9", whatever, and they also play basketball. Ben Simmons is in the other category on that piece. I want to go to Kevin Porter Jr. Agrees a 2-year deal worth, it ends up being about $10.5 million, I believe. Was reported at 11.4. He purports to potentially be the starting point guard for the Milwaukee Bucks this year. Opened the season with the Clippers before being sent to Milwaukee, the deadline last year. Finished the season with the Bucks at about 12 points, 4 boards, 4 assists in 20 minutes a night. Shot almost 50% from the floor, including 41% from 3. Of course, you know about his off-the-court history, ranging from his locker room incidents in Cleveland to a domestic altercation led to his exit from Houston. Again, a little bit of a wild card, but with no Damian Lillard, I'm assuming that they're going to hand the keys to Kevin Porter Jr. We'll see what happens with Ryan Rollins. I believe the Bucks did offer a qualifying offer to him. But we'll see what. That's a good question from Mac, man. We'll answer in a little bit. But when it comes to Kevin Porter Jr., how are you feeling? Do you think he's ready to do you think you're ready to give him? Because that's what a point guard is. When I think point guard, I think I'm giving you the keys to my car. Don't crash it. Are you okay with Kevin Porter Jr. getting those keys from the organization and coming back, or at least he's almost like borrowing the car until Damian Lillard gets back, hopefully in March?
Yes, I think I'm okay with it, number one, because I think this is the first time in Kevin Porter Jr.'s career where he's allowed to get the keys to a mature basketball team, on a team that will keep him in check if things start to go awry. So I think, when you look at the situation in Houston and the team wasn't good, when you look at the situation not playing much in L.A., I think that this is a real opportunity for Kevin Porter Jr. to grow and feel wanted. And I think that's really one of the reasons why he's back in the first place. But I think that he's going to learn a lot. I think we saw the instances where he does have chemistry with Giannis on the floor. I think that he's going to do a phenomenal job. And I think, like I said, the guys around him, the maturity around the Bucks is going to be good for him as a starting point guard in this league. And then it also sets you up for the future. How long is Damian Lillard even going to play the game of basketball? And so obviously I know it's not a long-term deal that Kevin Porter Jr. signed with the Bucks, but there has to be a little bit of sense of like loyalty that you think that he may want to stay and play with Giannis for a couple more years after this one. So, I think all good vibes around Kevin Porter Jr. coming back. I think it's just a matter of, him getting comfortable and finally getting the opportunity to blossom under a mature basketball team.
Yeah, I love the idea of giving Kevin Porter Jr. the opportunity to come out and play basketball another year with something to prove. I mean, let's rewind back to his Houston Rocket days at one point, and we talked about it a lot during the season. He was a $100 million basketball player. And he went through his transgressions off the court, whether justified or unjustified. I'm not here to try him in a court of law. I know we got Mr. Esquire on this joint with us, but I'll leave that trying these guys legally to him. However, let this guy prove it. And I think that kid has shown that when he gets the ball in his hands, he can do great things with it. I'm excited about his 2025 and 26 season. I'm excited about the Milwaukee Bucks 2025 26 season. And if I may, I know you asked the question, Trey, but can I ask y'all a quick question?
Of course you can.
Because I just saw this on Twitter, and I believe it's Secuda Bike is his name. I may be butchering it. My apologies, sir. He said if you give Ayton the full $10 million that he lost in the buyout, you have $4.1 million to get Lil Boosie Yabusel, whatever that boy name is, the French boy.
Yeah.
Trey Mann or Cole Anthony. And you can still get Sims and Rollins on 120% vet minimum. What say you?
Here's what I wonder. I wonder for tax purposes when I don't know, and somebody's asking here, D-Ron says, so as far as the cap first apron goes, with these contracts, we go about 25, 35 million till second apron. I'm not sure what that looks like. I know the Bucks are gonna. I got a feeling that they are gonna come a little bit under whatever. We know they're not get to the second apron, but I got a feeling they are gonna try to save some money somewhere. I think it's probably gonna upset some people. But again, if they do it, I would be fine with that. I would like it. Who'd you say? Subi, The dude from Philly, dude from Philly.
From the
Trey Man
Hornets?
would be a good. Yeah, Trey Man would be
Cole
interesting.
Anthony?
Cole Anthony would be interesting. He just got bought out today.
And then you have Sims and Rollins on that 120% vet minimum.
Yeah. They didn't mention Ayton though. So, but Ayton was a full.
Yeah.
I think that would be six. I think if you did that, that'd be successful. And then I wonder if how many roster spots are available after that to take a swing on something. But yeah, I mean, listen, man, I trust John Horst. I honestly do. I think he's going to get as much as he can out of this roster. I would listen, and I think I'll get to the second on the Ayton thing. I'll get through the rest of the Bucks stuff first. But in a perfect scenario, I can see myself being cool with DeAndre Ayton on his basketball team. Again, a guy who would be trying to play his way back into NBA relevance, because right now he's on the outside. He's looking kind of like a fraud right now, right? But again, who knows? Remember he couldn't go to that game. Was that important? Because it was snowing? I don't know how it's gonna work in Milwaukee. You had to get him. He gonna have to stay at the. What's the name? Right by the Modern. He gonna stay right. He got to stay right there so he can walk right over to the arena. Because he ain't too much further
in Milwaukee. No,
yeah. Hey,
the
stay at the couture.
The Ubers in Milwaukee got the snow tires. We'll be all right, man. Hey, one last thing on the Ben Simmons. We've already seen Doc Rivers with Ben Simmons. It wouldn't work. It's just not. It'll never happen with Doc Rivers as our head coach. I don't think.
Yeah, no. I listen. I'm with you there. We'll answer 608. You got a good question. We'll come back and answer it. But I do want to keep going. Bobby Portis, another big one that the Bucks get back. That one happened a couple days ago, where Bobby Portis works out a multi-year agreement with the Bucks. 3 years, $44 million, 30-year player option. That will replace his $13.4 million player option for this year, which he declined to sign this new deal. He's been, of course, a part of the Bucks front court for the last 5 years. He's earned 6 Man of the Year votes in 3 of those years, has started many games to qualify in one of the other 2 seasons, did only shoot up 49 times this past season due to a 25-game suspension that cost him much of the second half. The question I have on Bobby Portis, I think we all know his value. And I'll say this again, because somebody was talking about the question about, didn't you want Gary Trent Jr. gone? I want Bobby Portis gone. I was one of the main ones on the crusade to get Bobby up out of here. But again, things change, times change, and you have to realize where you are as a franchise and what you have available and what's going on. And at that number, I think that's what he's worth. With the cap rising, with everything that's rising, with some of the numbers, didn't we see who got did not Naz Reid got 5? What did he get? 4 years, 125? 5 years, 125, something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
I think they're very close. He's not, like, to me, Naz Reid ain't, $6-7 million. He's not a $125 million player, and Bobby a $44 million player. Like, the gap's not that wide. So when you think about, again, I think about it in terms of value. For value, no, I thought the value was great on Bobby Portis. Again, I think it's a tradable deal if you ever think you need to trade it at some point. So, I'm happy with it. I hope Bobby will. There's a very real likelihood that Bobby's your starting 5 this year. There's a very real likelihood that he will move to that starting lineup. So, again, as long as he shoots the ball well, gives half of an effort on defense, Bucks still got to figure out what they're going to do, how they're going to defend. Again, if you're bringing AJ Green back, you're looking at your 3-guard lineup. I'm projecting of KPJ, AJ Green, Gary Trent Jr. potentially, as long as you're not putting Taurean Prince in that as a 2. If AJ Green can stop the fouling, and they look at, maybe he can put a headband on and look like Caruso, and that way he can get away with fouling people, and they won't think, and they won't call it on him. But if you can at least stop straight line drives to stay in front of guys, you'll be able to help Bobby Portis. And by the way, rebounding will be much better for the Milwaukee Bucks when you have Giannis and Bobby Portis out there at the same time. So again, for that number, I like Bobby. I like him back in Milwaukee. Glad he's back. And good on. I see with the UD, the underdog. Good on underdog for getting back into it and staying with the Bucks. And also, last thing I say, I think people thought like this was like some type of a discount. I don't really think it was. I don't know what the market. I really don't know what the market was. I really don't know that he had some free agent market that he get to that was going to be $20-30 million. I don't see that. Like what? Who has gotten $25 million from a different team this year in free agency? Who's gotten that? Nope. Has anybody gotten $25 million from a different team? A $20 million? Because that'd be, I mean, if he's getting 14, 15 a year, a real upgrade would be 18, 19, 20. Has anybody gotten 18, 19, 20 in free agency from another team this year?
I think the biggest free agent contract was Dorian Finney-Smith.
What did he get?
Oh, man, me and Chris just talked about it.
He
It's
got
not
3 years, 51 though. Yeah, I mean, so that's not that.
3 years, 50. Okay, so that's a touch over what Bobby Portis got.
Yeah.
Okay.
But,
what? Oh
you're
yeah,
right,
Nick
you're right.
Alexander-Walker. What did he get? Yeah. What did NAW get?
I think it's
He got a nice
similar.
deal. He got a nice deal. He's a good player too. But you know that's again we look. But that's my point. Is I think the deal was good for Bobby, and I think it's good for the Bucks.
Yeah, I think he's also done things to, I think, take a step up in his game. I think there was certain moments last year where, you know, you still want to rip your hair out, but there's also been, you know, a lot of highs. I remember last year it was a Brooklyn Nets game, right, where he goes 30-some points and 15 rebounds, something like that. And so, you know, you want to see those highs and you want to eliminate some of the lows, but he's certainly worth, I think, what he got. I think also, you know, last year I kind of felt like a little bit of just unfinished business for him because of the suspension incident, and it kind of messed the Bucks up. So he, again, you talk about a guy who owes us. Bobby Portis owes us, because all last season when there was a 25-game suspension, right, it was like, all right, now we have to put Bobby back in the lineup after this team finally hitting a stride. Now we need him for a full season, and see what this group can do.
Yeah, I just love bringing Bobby back for his work off the court. I mean, he legit has earned the term mayor of Milwaukee. I mean, when you look at some of the volunteer stuff he's done throughout the city, I mean, I kind of saw when I saw him at Summerfest, I felt like there's no way Bobby was going anywhere else. It's a good signing for the Bucks. You need bigs. You need bigs that can shoot the ball, that can rebound the ball. I think it puts us in a good spot. I mean, are we perennial the best team in the East right now? I don't think so. But I think Bobby Portis makes us better, and I think we perennially have the best player in the East on our team, so we got a shot.
Yeah, you definitely have the best player on the East on your team. There's no doubt, no question about that. Is that I think that's everybody. Well, unless you want to talk about Pat Connaughton, who did exercise his $9.4 million player option, and hopefully the Bucks can trade him. I don't have much to say about Pat. I don't know if anybody else wants to get into Pat Connaughton.
You know, there's really a lot of good golf courses in Florida, so I think Pat Riley could do us a favor. Not that he would ever, but there's some good golf courses in Florida. Maybe Colorado. You can go out to Denver. You know, whatever. Whoever needs them, take them.
Yeah, I got some good tracks up there in Ohio too, bro. We might need to sit up there. It was I think it was the biggest Captain Obvious deal that was going to happen in the offseason. That guy had to take that money. Not mad at him for doing it. Another good asset, like Chris said, that we can move on from. And then the only other thing we really have this offseason would be Ryan Rollins, the tender deal we gave him.
Yeah, which again, I think he's going to end up getting, 120% over what he was making or whatever. I think that's what he'll end up getting. And again, I think he'll be a good backup to KPJ or,
they played together at certain points.
They did.
I think that'll be valuable if he stays. Just having the option to, because there are times where Kevin Porter Jr. is going to get in over his head and do things in spite of being on a mature basketball team, you know. So I think having him as another option is good to have for a backup point guard.
It's interesting to me. I'm just looking at this tweet from Trevor Thyssen, who says Malik Beasley is about to sign a 3-year, $40 million deal before the allegations, and the Bucks got Gary for 2 years, 7.5. That's just interesting. I mean, I get it. You know, Malik Beasley has had a couple good years. It's just interesting to me that he was going to make that much more money than Gary Trent Jr. And I don't know. Again, I don't know if Gary Trent Jr. is taking a discount. I can't tell you.
Gary Trent's better than Malik Beasley.
That's what I mean.
Like,
I would say
let's just call
too.
a spade. Like, he's better than him. He defends better, at least. Now, we watched the gambling allegations going on, so maybe he wasn't defending at the highest level. But from what I see, I think Gary Trent Jr. is a better basketball player than Malik Beasley. Now, Malik Beasley might be a little bigger, but you know, I think it's apples to oranges.
Yeah, I think good.
And Gary Trent Jr. can win you a basketball game. I mean, I don't know how many games Malik Beasley has won shooting you into a game in his NBA career. Maybe a couple few, but no. I'm going Gary Trent twice a week.
I think we bring that up because it's like this can't be understated how much of an incredible job this is by John Horst.
Right, and that's the thing. Whether you want to say, even if I want to give you fine, Malik Beasley is better. He's not. He wouldn't have been 3 years, $40 million. But same thing with like Nas Reed and Bobby Portis, maybe even to a bigger extent. Beasley's not that. Even if you want to call him better, he's not that much better than Gary Trent Jr. He's just not. And I don't think he's better at all either. Another guy that the Bucks did let get away. Wonder, and again, somebody said the Childish was his great start to free agency. Kept Bobby, KPJ, and Gary on the cheap. Love Brook, but he's lost a massive step. Let's talk about Brook Lopez. 2 years, $18 million to the Los Angeles Clippers. I think that was a lot of people thought that he would be gone. It was interesting to me. I just never got the feeling. I think the Bucks were done with it. Him as just again, the philosophy is different with how you have to play. And again, if you have him on that roster, I think Doc Rivers is going to look down at the bench and play him, a decent amount. And I think that when you've got to change philosophies entirely with this basketball team and how you look to play. And it just wasn't happening anymore. So again, going to LA to the Clippers, he'd be a backup for them. Yeah, he's not starting over him. So I do think it's a good situation for him if you play him on limited minutes and he's really just expected to shoot threes. I think the Bucks were expecting him to be. They needed a big time guy with Giannis to help fill out that roster, and he was just slow and slow foot, and you try to get past it. So I don't think I think some in the media that like Brook Lopez is one of those guys where the name sounds better than what he is, and you remember Brook Lopez as 2021. You remember him as perennial all defensive player, getting player of the year votes all the time. You know he can shoot the three, but once you start to lose those steps, it just becomes slower and slower and slower. And yeah, you're hitting a few threes, but you're not making up for it with the spacing. And by the way, he doesn't rebound on either end of the floor. So I just think from a philosophy standpoint, it run its course. So I'm fine with it. I think one question I do have for both of you guys is, do you retire Brook Lopez's number? Does his jersey go into the – I want to ask the chat too. Does Brook Lopez get his jersey in the rafters? Did he mean that much to the Milwaukee Bucks?
No. I mean, there were certainly moments in the playoffs where it's like, I mean, he saved our ass a little bit in Game 5 of the Hawks series, right? And there was obviously moments that he had that, impacted the Bucks winning the NBA Finals. But when I look at jersey retirements, I just think the two top contributors from that squad should get a serious look and that have a long tenure. I think Brook's obviously long tenure, remodeled his game in Milwaukee, started to shoot threes, made a ton of threes in his career in Milwaukee. But to me, it's just not enough. It's just not enough. I think, maybe if you were talking about, how long we retained him after the championship and if we were to win again, then maybe you talk about it. But it just didn't happen after the one championship. So, no. And then to me, I think, Trey, you're exactly right when you talk about the way that the NBA has changed. Like, you look at all these young athletic teams. I mean, we had grown tired of watching teams outrun us, out-hustle us, especially for rebounds, especially guys, Brook being too slow on the help, on the closeouts and stuff. And then you immediately see Jericho Sims, what he's able to do, how he's able to impact the game, not so much offensively, but defensively and rebounding. And it's clear as day that you need that going forward around, Giannis and around some of the guys on the squad now. So, I think it just kind of run its course. But we certainly appreciate what Brook did for the Milwaukee Bucks. And, I'm not going to really miss the 40-footers at random points in the game, maybe even in crunch time. But we'll certainly miss his presence a little bit. But hopefully they're able to kind of weather that storm.
So I'm going to say, absolutely, retire that man's number. This man came from the Los Angeles Lakers, the Brooklyn Nets, and reinvented his entire basketball game. And without Brook, I'm confident to say we don't have a parade down Wisconsin Avenue. He changed the game on his defense when he was right, when he was younger. Now, what we looked at this last year was kind of what we looked at with Chris Middleton. He was a shell of himself, and we held on to him for too long. But you know what? If we don't, because at some point we're going to get to a point where we have to retire everyone's jersey. We won't have any numbers left. So maybe we need to do like what the Brewers have, a Wall of Honor, Packers Hall of Fame, something like that. Because if I was comparing this to football, back in the 90s when the Packers won it, I would say you had Giannis, who was your Reggie White, and Chris Middleton, who was maybe like your Leroy Butler, maybe not that far. But you get what I'm saying? And Brook Lopez was your Gilbert Brown. He was a dude that just did everything that never got in the box score that we needed to have done. But if we're not going to retire the number, I think that we got to have some type of Wall of Honor. And then that way we can put every player from the 2021 championship team, with the exception of Jeff T, because he said he got an A and he didn't contribute to the group project. But like you guys have already said, though, Brook will be missed in Milwaukee for his contributions and stuff like that. But he got to a point where I think the game just kind of went past him. And that's what happens when you are 37, going to be 38, and you're playing against a bunch of 20-something-year-olds.
You can have a bobblehead night.
Yeah, for sure.
Play the Clippers bobblehead night throwback.
Yeah, bobblehead. He can be on he can be on Splash Mountain. On the bobblehead, he can be him on Splash Mountain. Queen Mamba 97 says they better not retire his number. 6OEW says having a KPJ jersey is hilarious. Mac, it's the young season. Garrett took a huge pay cut. Who else? Somebody said that Taylor Thompson 100% yes to Brook Lopez being in the jersey being retired. And I think that's a good point for 6OEW. Yeah, if you're retiring Brook, you got to retire Drew. I think the retired numbers to me should be Drew, Giannis, Chris. I would probably hold it there at those three. 4 is crazy to me. I mean, hell, at that point, you might as well put PJ Tucker in there.
I'm going to bring him up too.
That's the thing. Well, here's the thing. You know who else has been there for a very long time? Bobby Porter's been there for 6. He's about to be here for 5, 6, 7 seasons if he doesn't get traded. Like 7 seasons, and you went to and you contribute to a title. Does your jersey? I mean, you have to ask. That's a legitimate question. Mayor of Milwaukee, does he? I mean, that's a legitimate question. If you're throwing up jerseys like that. So again, I would probably just hold it to Giannis, Chris, and Drew. But that's me. I think there are already too many numbers up there that don't deserve to be. But that's just my.
And if you're gonna bring back like a Wall of Honor or something like that, hey man, and I'm really about to piss y'all off. You got to put Pat Connaughton in there if it's a Wall of Honor or something. You don't. You do not beat the Brooklyn Nets without Pat Connaughton.
Pat did have some big shots.
That's all I'm saying.
Really,
so
the Suns too. I mean, he has
big shots in the Suns too. Yes, he did.
Then we might as well talk about Brim Forbes heater against the Heat.
The Heat. Yeah.
That's not, you need to like.
Jeff T hit a couple shots.
Against the Hawks.
Jeff T hit a couple shots.
It's crazy how much has to go right to win a championship.
It does.
So
it does.
We've obviously had to deal with that these past couple of years. I mean, the injuries and stuff, but yeah.
Tish says no notification about us getting. I don't know how that works with notifications when they come on. Do you have our notifications on? I don't know how it works. Sorry, we didn't give you guys advance notice. We just kind of were like, we were gonna do a video and then we just went live. But again, you're listening to live coverage of the Milwaukee Bucks and the NBA free agency right here with the Cream City crossover. So we've gone through the Bucks, basically what the Bucks have done so far on night one. I want to do a couple more questions, and then we'll get to looking around. I guess we are going to look around the league a little bit, and then we'll wrap things. But I do have a question. One question I do want to ask. I really want to get to DeAndre Ayton. Like, do you want? I'm talking about DeAndre Ayton as a whole. I'm not talking about what the money is. And would you want DeAndre Ayton on this roster? 61UW says KD shoe should go in too. That's funny. But do you want, end of the day, do you want DeAndre Ayton on this basketball team?
I mean, yeah, at this point, because Brook left, I think you do need a physical presence again still. I said it when we were in the room before we ended up going live. I'm like, we need another center. Like, it's point blank period. Like, we need another center. And I think DeAndre Ayton, what he provides specifically is a guy who can I mean, just being athletic finishes, drawing some people off of Giannis a little bit. I think, he can step out a little bit, hit the mid-range jumper a little bit. So I think he gives you a little bit of versatility. I think it takes the pressure of Giannis maybe having to play any 5 at all in the regular season off of him. And so I think that would do a lot for Giannis's, number one, health, and his just the taxing that it does on his body sometimes in the regular season of trying to make him play the 5, especially if you go off to a bad start like last year. How are we gonna have to put him at the 5? Well, if you have DeAndre Ayton, you can do more of that. So I think at this point it's a no-brainer. It's about, honestly, I think if you're the Bucks, you're thinking, yes, we need him, we want him. He needs to come here. It's more so, I think, about DeAndre Ayton wanting to be in Milwaukee outside of the other suitors, like, the LA Lakers, where you can go live that lifestyle again, and keep that warm weather. Them snow days, they're going to be there in Milwaukee. So I think that's what it's going to be about.
I think so. I'm kind of torn in between this, and I'm about to waffle now. So with Ayton, the thing that worries me about him coming in to Milwaukee is he's been labeled as a locker room cancer. Mm-hmm. And that's something that we can't afford to have come into this Milwaukee locker room. So what I would say is, I think from his basketball potential, and like Chris was kind of hinting at, he needs to prove to the NBA that he can still hoop. It's great. However, is he going to come in and do that? Or is he going to take his ball and go home? It's a big challenge. And I mean, y'all gentlemen know I was a guy against Jimmy Butler for alleged locker room stuff. So I think that Doc and Horst have to sit down and have a conversation with this guy and let him know what will be tolerated and what will not be tolerated. And if you're getting that stuff that's not tolerated, we got to have a way where we can opt out, some type of clause. And I don't know how that stuff works, but we send you on your way and you go on about your business, because we cannot have anything negative in this locker room as well. We're already facing an uphill battle. We already lost the division the last 2 years. It's just so much stuff that we have to play up to this year. We need a guy that's going to come and be positive in that locker room, man.
I do want to note that Jim, how you say Jim or Koski? Orzowski, yeah. Orzowski, I believe he's on. I don't know what. I think he's on like Blue Sky. I think he's on Twitter, but I think he tweets more on Blue Sky now. But anyway, so people are posting. I guess 20 minutes ago. Well, I see it 20 minutes ago. I don't know how long ago that. Yeah. I think this is 20 minutes ago. Saying he said the Bucks are working on. So he's from the Milwaukee Journal, right? He said the Bucks are working on something big. He said, "quote big was the word big was conveyed to me. I don't know the frame of reference from that person, but they have $14.1 million available, and that's not small." So you have Jim Orzowski saying that the Bucks are currently, this is 20 minutes ago, saying that the Bucks are working on something, quote, unquote, big. Don't know what that means. That could be trades. That could be just the $14.1 million. I'll say this on DeAndre Ayton. He's 14 and 10. Ayton, John House says 14 and 10 boards. Yes, please. 14 and 10. Tish says Ayton's pure toxicity. You mentioned the locker room cancer, the things about DeAndre Ayton. I'll say this: all NBA programs, all front offices, all GMs, all teams, even down to players and coaching staffs, right? They always, and I know this because I've fortunate enough to talk to some of these people and just knowing how some of these things work and what they think, and just listening to the interviews. People, this is what they always say. They will say that when you have a guy that's a cancer, or labeled a cancer, a guy that this, and the third, they will say that's what he did there. And Phoenix allowed him to be a cancer, or Portland allowed him to do that. When you come to our organization, when you come to Milwaukee, and it's, again, all 30 teams think like this, okay? This is just how they will think. That's not what he will do here, because we have the infrastructure in place, the foundation in place, the players in place, the mentors in place, the facilities in place. We have that here, and we will have the structure so that the things that caused him to be a cancer, to be a distraction or a disruption in that locker room, that won't be the case here. And I guarantee you, John Horst and the Milwaukee Bucks front office, Wes Edens, and even Jimmy Haslam, that's how they feel about their organization, is that, oh, yeah, he was a problem out there. Bring him here. We'll get him right. And again, this will kind of be, you watch in Netflix, you watch Last Chance U. That's what this will kind of be for DeAndre. You just got bought out in Portland. And that was part of the trade that they made with Phoenix. Well, I can't remember what all was part of that. Was that all part of the
Yeah, that's Dame.
That was part of the Dame trade. Right. So you all were involved in that. And I mean, this will kind of be last kind of chance where you're getting bought out of your deal. DeAndre Ayton's supposed to be one of those super max kind of guy. Like, that's what he was projected to be. And he's not right now. So and that's the thing. You have the opportunity to go do that. If you were to come to a place like Milwaukee, he'd have the opportunity in LA as well for the Lakers, and I'm sure they're pushing for him hard. But the Bucks have a void at center, and I will tell you again. I'll give one more piece, and I'll let you go here. Let me think what you think about this. The other piece about coming to Milwaukee, especially if you talk about a guy who's mental, got a little issues, and having problems. Do you think it's more pressure? I know a lot of people talk about Giannis, but he's going to leave. Do you think it's more pressure going and playing in LA with Luka Doncic and LeBron James, who LeBron has already said this roster ain't good enough? That LeBron throws his teammates under the bus 24/7 and ready to trade the whole team with a deadline. And who knows, maybe LeBron, I don't know, Rich Paul. Do you think there's more pressure out in LA, especially when you might be on your last chance? You think there's going to be more pressure in LA, in the Western Conference, with OKC, who just won, with Houston, who is stacked right now, another team who's had a great first couple days here, going back even to the Kevin Durant trade? You think there's more pressure out there, or you come to the East where no Halliburton, Boston ain't doing nothing? Best thing you got to deal with is what the hell going on in Atlanta? All I gotta do is back down Cat. Shit. That's all I gotta do is back down Cat, and I'm good. I'm just saying.
Yeah, it's an excellent point, and I also think there's some value in the sense that we watched Giannis absolutely torch this guy. So to get Giannis and Ayton in the same room and have those discussions, be able to be mature about it, and have those discussions about what allowed Giannis to absolutely drop, the 50-piece McNugget on him or Chick-fil-A nuggets on him, then, to me, I think that's going to be good for Ayton and what he needs to do to become that type of player defensively and offensively. So I think, and that's a great point, Trey. I think, it's going to be a much easier path, I think, to win in the East right now, especially if you're Giannis compared to what the Lakers are going through. So I think that will pay dividends. Even if you're just able to make a respectable run in the playoffs, there will be certainly eyes on him if that's what he wants to accomplish.
I've seen two great centers go to the Los Angeles Lakers and absolutely lose their mind. Think about Andrew Bynum and Dwight Howard. And I think a lot of that alludes to the level of pressure that it is to play in the Los Angeles market as the marquee team on there. I don't care what the Clippers do. They're never going to be the marquee team in LA until they start winning championships. So you're absolutely right. That pressure there, or come to Milwaukee where we got a bunch of negative fans on Twitter who are going to rip you to shreds. But, we got a pretty decent media group that will treat you well. And we got a lot of fans here that will really carry you over the top. So if he could come here and just be Larry Sanders for a year, I think we're okay with that. And I'm talking about the good Larry Sanders.
Yep.
So the other thing is bringing Ayton in. Tish, I'm about to push back at you now. I'm still torn, but I think Doc Rivers has shown us this past year and his coaching staff that guys who have, I'm not going to call it mental health, but some type of challenges off the court, he's done a pretty solid job with them.
Yeah.
Kyle Kuzma had a lot of stuff off the court that wasn't really
That's a good point on Doc Rivers there.
He seems like he's doing better.
Yeah.
Kevin Porter Jr. Ryan Rollins.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys that Doc and his coaching staff has done a good job with. So hopefully that'll work out in our favor.
That's a really good point on Doc Rivers. It's a really good point on Doc. And again, that again, for all the flack give Doc Rivers, you talk about his offensive philosophies and some of the coaching philosophies, but connecting to players, that is a Doc Rivers trait that is really big. That's a great point that you bring up. Again, also interesting, there's been no news out of Indiana with Miles Turner. And I think, again, there's that ownership group of Indiana, very cheap. And I'm not even talking junk about Indiana right now. I'm just saying, to be honest, they're a cheap ownership group. They haven't been in luxury tax in a long time. And now I think they were probably willing to go into it. And now you lose Tyrese Halliburton for the entire season. Are you willing? Because again, repeater tax is real. The repeater tax is real. Do you go in and spend that on Miles Turner? It's gonna be interesting to see what Indiana does if they end up going into the first apron to go do that, and they would be a repeater team. Of course, when Tyrese Halliburton comes back, Lewis Fleming says it's not Doc, it's Darvin Ham. I don't know that. I think Doc Rivers has a good relationship with people. Again, it clearly is Doc Rivers for Giannis. Giannis loves Doc Rivers. James Moore says outside of veteran minimum, I have no interest in Al Horford. Agreed. If Al Horford is on this basketball team, there's no reason you pick up 40-year-olds. No, I'd rather have Brook Lopez. I'm not even joking. I'd rather have Brook Lopez. There's no reason you give him 40-year-olds. E says, give me Grimes. I would be interested in I've liked Quentin Grimes since the Dallas days. John House says, Bucks have interest in Andrew Wiggins. That is true. And again, with the $14.1 million exception, it also works kind of as a trade exception as well. So basically, the Bucks can take up to $14 million in salary without sending anything out based upon where they are in the cap right now. Let's look around the NBA at some other things that are going on in free agency. And of course, as I click a button there, my laptop starts acting funny. But can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
All right, you still good? Okay. I'm trying to see guys that are people that are still things that have taken place. Luke Kennard joining the Hawks. Tyus Jones to Orlando. Atlanta gives some money to Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Pistons get Karis LeVert, Clint Capella to Houston. Dennis Schroeder to Sacramento. Jake LaRivia, I thought it was a great move from the Lakers. D'Angelo Russell goes to Dallas. Of course, you see the Rockets absolutely continuing to stock up, maybe having the best offseason right now in the NBA after they traded for Kevin Durant, and then they lock up Dorian Finney-Smith to basically be the replacement to Dillon Brooks. 4 years, $53 million. Pistons lock up Paul Reed, and the Grizzlies start off everything today with Jaren Jackson Jr. getting a 5-year max deal worth $248 million. That seems like a lot to me. But yeah, you saw your boy Joe Ingles going to the Timberwolves as well. Who do you think has made the best moves night one, day one of free agency before we get out of here? What do you like? What do you dislike so far about free agency in the NBA?
I think when I look at who I think's done an okay job in terms of what they're trying to accomplish, I think the Nuggets have done a respectable job. I mean, getting Bruce Brown back when he was pivotal to winning that championship in the first place, I think that'll pay dividends. I think it's an upgrade getting Cam Johnson over Michael Porter Jr. I don't think it's.
Would you have given up an unprotected?
No,
because I think a lot of people were talking about. Would you do Kyle Kuzma and a first for Cam Johnson? Would you have given him an unprotected first round pick for him?
Probably not. Especially when I think about it from the Bucks perspective, right? Like we have that 1/20/31, right? That everybody's so attached to.
Correct.
We haven't given that up yet, and I just don't think that would be a move maybe warranting that, especially seeing what the Bucks did on day one, getting Gary Trent Jr. back, getting KPJ back. So, but I do think that he is upgrade over MPJ out there in Denver, and I think they're trying to accomplish something there. And I think they did that on day one. I think they're probably going to have more moves. Like they're a team working with urgency, as we saw firing Mike Malone, whether that was a good move or not. Firing their GM, and then their new guy has stepped up, and I think he's accomplishing some good things for the Nuggets. And then obviously, they'll get some guys back from injury. So I think when you look at their window of trying to win now with Jokic, I think that they've accomplished a lot just in one day. And then, yeah, I think Houston is obviously a winner as well. I think what are the Wizards doing? That's the bad part. Why are you going and acquiring CJ McCollum? Like, is it like, are they just trying to have a ton of mentors out there for the young guys? Like, it's like a whole starting 5 of mentors. So that's been kind of weird to me. But outside of that, nothing's really jumped off the page yet. I'm sure after, maybe a week, we'll see some big losers and some big winners.
I think the Atlanta Hawks have gotten tremendously better this offseason. Trae Young is going to have to go back into his ice tray, put his cape on, and he really has a legit chance right now. If the basketball season was won, first day of free agency, I would pick them to come out of the East before the season started. Now, there's a lot more that has to go into this, so we got to see how it fits and all that other stuff. I think they got a great coach down there in Atlanta. They got a kid from Nicolay High School named Jalen Johnson coming back. Like, that's a good, solid basketball team. But, unfortunately, the season isn't won in free agency nor the draft, so we're going to get to training camp and we're going to have 82 of these jokers to figure it out. Sacramento getting Dennis Schroeder. I thought they were trying to get off of guys and bringing him in. Pause. It's just like, what are we doing there? I agree with Trae. It's like the senior citizen club or the has-beens in Washington. The Knicks. What are the Knicks doing? You still don't have a basketball coach.
Yeah.
You're bringing in your guy Jordan Clarkson for Utah, but what system are we running?
That is hard. Yeah, that's an interesting thing to do, to bring in players and not have a coach to give input on what kind of players you want to have, what kind of system you want to run. That's a good point.
I throw something crazy out there. So Kuz is making about 20-something mil a year.
Yep.
You said we can get back 14.1 in that MLE, right? In a trade.
You can bring back 14.1 without even. So basically, if you have somebody making $20 million, you could actually bring back somebody making 30.
You know who makes 30 in the East? You know who makes 34 in the East?
Who?
I mean, they said something big. Let's go ahead and bring Bam to the Bucks.
Yeah, I don't know. That's good. I think that would take. I think that takes a lot. I would love Bam. I would love Bam. Bam.
You can have a 2031 unprotected then at that point. And here's the thing, and I know it sounds outlandish and this is crazy, and they're probably about to kill me in the chat. Giannis and Bam are pretty tight. Share the same age and all that other stuff. So, you're looking at Miami. I think they're going into a full-fledged rebuild around Tyler Hero starting this year. It wouldn't surprise me for Bam to be on a different team this year, man. And why not come to us? Why not?
I'm just looking. I see a tweet. Somebody saying that another guy that would fit into that mid-level exception for the Milwaukee Bucks, Herb Jones. Herb Jones would fit into that mid-level exception.
All-time low in value right now.
Yeah, and he's a really good player. Yeah, I don't disagree with any guys. If I had a question, it would probably be for the Lakers. You need a big. They cannot miss out on DeAndre. Like, if I'm thinking about who cannot miss out on DeAndre Ayton, to me it'll be the Lakers. They cannot miss out on DeAndre Ayton. Mm-hmm. And right, Tish says Dame and Bam are best friends as well. But you've already missed out on Brook Lopez, who you wanted, and then who else they missed out on that they were purported to go on for somebody else. But they've been they really need a big to pair with Luka Doncic and LeBron and those boys. So I would be
Naz Reid.
You miss out on Naz Reid. You're just, if you're the Lakers and you need a big, DeAndre Ayton's got to be the guy. There's no reason why he wouldn't be the guy for them. But we'll see if that's how it pans out. I agree with all your thoughts. Again, I thought Orlando had a good trade earlier. But yeah, if you're looking, I think Atlanta is really, I wouldn't say they're in a driver's seat, but yeah, I think they've had a sneaky good first couple days. I like teams that go for it. There was a thought process of would they blow it up and that type of thing with Trae Young and everything. Is that really that moving to you though? Are we really that? If you just look at the pieces,
Alexander Walker and Luke Kennard, like, is that really that?
No, but that, are you scared?
They already have.
Are you scared? Are you scared of Andrew Nembhard and Aaron Nesmith? And like, to me, that's the kind of team that they're kind of. Look at Dyson Daniels.
They already do score the ball very well.
Right, and they have a team that is defensive wings that, you know, defensive-minded wings that they are just stacking up on.
Right.
Luke Kennard can shoot the ball too. Like I do like what they're doing, and then your head of the snake is Trae Young going at you and killing you. I'm not mad at it, is all I'm saying.
And it's not just the free agency though, but remember them a couple days ago in the draft. They had a pretty good draft as well.
Yeah.
So I think they kind of put themselves in a better. At least I put it to you like this: I wouldn't expect them to be a play-in team. I saw Mac Man said something about Capella. He signed a 3-year deal with the Houston Rockets.
Just good. Again, another team talking about Houston, man, has done. I mean, to me, I think a different team's going to come out anyway. I don't think OKC's going to repeat, but OKC took to 7 games with OKC's essentially going to run back their exact same team. And Denver took them to 7, and to me, Denver got better this offseason.
Yeah, so far.
So
like
right away, Denver got better. So, and then I think Houston is better too. So again, I think OKC's gonna be really good, obviously. But do you lose a little bit of that hunger, a little bit of that drive after you win one? You know, I don't know. Maybe they do go about it as a workman-like mentality, and you know they still act like they, you know, it's different when you're at the top of the mountain versus when you grind to get up there. So I have a feeling that I don't think OKC's gonna repeat. But yes, it's gonna be a bloodbath in the Western Conference as we already know.
What do you guys think about New Orleans? What do you think about the Pelicans with their moves? They just signed Kevon Looney, trading for Jordan. Gosh, they're like the all Milwaukee team. That just registered in my head. They got Jordan Poole. We got to see what they're going to do with Herb Jones. Are they going to offer him something like?
It all starts with Zion, man. Like, if he's going to be a serious NBA player, if he's going to be out there and be healthy, then I think they have a shot at least being competitive. But if that's not going to be the case, then it's still like, okay, you know, you obviously got off the older player in McCollum, and you're bringing in some younger guys in there. But then you go get Looney, who's serviceable, certainly. To me, it's just they're in a spot where they have to prove it to me first, and they can't do that without Zion. Obviously, they got rid of Brandon Ingram last year, so you know they've got some things to work on still, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think New Orleans is. I agree. I think it's all about Zion and what he does, and you know, again, to me, I would trade him. But that's me. Where did Ty Jerome go?
Memphis.
Memphis.
Which is good for him. It's like 3 years, 28. Get that bag while you can get it.
Yeah, Memphis is being kind of weird too. I don't understand their direction either. But I don't like, you know, Jaren Jackson Jr. I think he's a good player. It's a lot of money for Jaren Jackson Jr. I don't know if he's that good. But yeah, man, this is day one of the 2025 NBA offseason, at least for the free agency portion of things. You know, I don't know what else. Maybe it's gonna be quiet for the rest of the evening, but of course the Bucks are still gonna be active. I would say this as you know, kind of wrap this thing up here. To me, I would give only because of the Taurean Prince signing and because we haven't brought anybody new in. I'm gonna give it an A- because I always give you some room to improve. But right now, to me, for the value of contracts that we've gotten, for the guys that we've brought back, and for the addition by subtraction, losing Brook Lopez, I'm gonna go A-. I think the Bucks are having a very sneaky good offseason right here. And again, it would have been I think it would have been rough if Gary Trent Jr. was taking up a big part of salary, and and I think a lot of people, again, remember, if you're on Twitter, if you're on social media, a lot of people say I'd give Gary all of the mid-levels. To give him 14. That's where they were. They got him for $3.7 million per year,
basically.
Yeah, I mean, so I think for the value of what they've gotten their guys back for, very, very good start to the offseason for the Milwaukee Bucks. And I think, again, you just keep building on it. Can you make it? Can you make us the only thing? And again, you're not about to go get somebody crazy. And I don't think, I'll say this too, I don't think they're going to trade a 2031 pick. I would not do it. I don't think there's a guy out there that you could trade that pick for and bring in and be like, oh yeah, this is a title contender. So I say title contender quote. I say it in quote in air quotes. I'm just saying, like, oh, he's putting them over the hump. If they go over the hump, it's because Giannis and the core group of guys right here are doing it, in my opinion. I don't think there's a guy there's going to be the reason. And so for that reason, I say I would hold on to that pick. And if you wait till next year, you have 2 picks plus you use pick swaps or whatever. Plus you have the Damian Lillard contract to play with. If you think you need to move off of him, you have. I mean, next year you talk about the Milwaukee Bucks can be a big time player on the market with all of the resources that they have available to them. If they wait 1 year, I would not make the swing. I would play what we got here and see what else you can add to this basketball team. But again, I'll give it an A- right now. So far, what they've done.
Hey, shout out to John Hassel. So you said there's no. I would say John said if you give them Kuzma and Pat, give them the 2031 pick for Bam and Andrew or Wiggins.
Why would they do that?
Why would who do that? Miami?
Yeah. Why would they take? Why would they take Kuzma and Pat Connaughton plus 1 pick for who?
Said picks forever.
So did he? I might have missed that part.
Yeah, we don't have forever. Right. We can do. I think we can do the most we can do is a swap and one of the picks, and one of 2031 or 2032. I think.
I would do it for Bam. I don't know if I would do it for Wiggins. If you got both of them, that's crazy.
But I just don't know why they would do. To me, I would not trade Bam for Kuzma, Pat, and 1 pick and a swap. That's
essentially
insane.
All right, let's rebuild.
Let's it's not even enough.
At it too, yeah,
it's not even enough.
Yeah. Maybe if it's Washington, they might entertain it with their moves.
I think my last thought would just be, I mean, when this all ended, crash and burn in the first round, a lot of people have doubts, and us included, about how this is going to go. But I think that they've done a good job on day one of making sure that the whole house doesn't burn on fire, right? So they put the fire out pretty easily, pretty quickly. Now it's about, remodeling, rebuilding as well, along with the guys that we were able to retain. So I'd probably give it like a B+, see where it goes from here.
I always think John Horst does such a great job of turning chicken trash or chicken scat into chicken salad. He did another phenomenal offseason thus far with John Horst. I mean, with the exception of we might need to hire some draft expertise to go along with it. Big shout out to Nigel Hayes Davis, former back-to-back Final Four Wisconsin Badger, getting a fully guaranteed contract with the Phoenix Suns. That was big for me in the state of Wisconsin hoops. And then how about David Joplin, our Marquette Golden Eagle, getting an invite to the Summer League for the Bucks? So it's a good time, man. I'm excited to see what else Horst has going back. We'll see what Big Jim O says. We'll call him Jim O on our show so we don't butcher it, because I may have butchered it as well. Let's see what that big move is that Big Jim O's talking about, though.
Yeah. Bucks are always not afraid to jump in there and make moves, and that's a John Horst special. He is always working. Listen, I want to appreciate everybody for joining us this evening, impromptu live show. Really good participation from the YouTube, from the Twitter as well. We appreciate it as always for you people who will tune in and watch it back tomorrow when you hear this. Again, listen, man, just always be on the lookout. Get the notifications on. Be on the lookout. You never know when the Cream City crossover is going to go live, just because, again, Gary Trent Jr., we were going to make a video, and then Gary Trent Jr. signed. Was like, let's go live. So that's how we do it. So, Tish, make sure you are in the room live, but you made it in, so that's all that matters. Good stuff. Appreciate everybody for joining us and having some fun. This has been a Cream City Media Group production from the Guru Truck Hospital III.
Chris King.
Justin.
That has been a wrap from night 1 of NBA free agency. If I am the enemy, it's only because I dare to tell you the truth. Don't take no wood nickels.